Prince William couldn't resist snapping up the Southwest's most famous savory treat as his tour of the Scilly Isles continued on Friday, and suggested he was taking some of the edible souvenirs home for his family. William, 41, who is known locally as the Duke of Cornwall, arrived at Smerys Harbour on Smerys, the largest of the Scilly Isles by boat, having traveled from Tresco, one of the smaller islands, this morning. The prince is continuing with his royal duties while the Princess of Wales receives treatment for abdominal cancer. In Nigeria, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle began the first day of their 3-day visit to the African nation. Clearly in cheered spirits and sharing that he'd already enjoyed a morning swim, the prince was seen disembarking a boat called the Pegasus, which bore the Duke of Cornwall flag, as he arrived at Smerys Maritime Harbour. A small cheer went up from a throng of onlookers on the harbour as he stepped quayside for the final day of his visit to the southwest region. Wearing a pair of stylish sunglasses to protect his eyes from the Cornish sun, the prince donned a brown blazer with matching brogues and his favourite navy chino trousers as he made his way along the water's edge. He hailed the glorious weather before strolling to the On the Quay Cat, where he bought 5 traditional Cornish pasties for £5 and 50p each. He was served by Jolie Dearman, 22, and Zacharia Fox, 28, both seasonal workers from North Devon on the mainland. "What's selling quickest this morning?" he asked them. Told it was the pasties, the prince was clearly hooked on the idea of buying some, saying, "They smell delicious. Makes your mouth water." He went on to tell them, "I was saying to the others, I can't believe the islands today when you've got weather like this. It's just beautiful. I got in the sea yesterday, which was good. I wore a wetsuit." Outside, he also told tourists lined up to greet him that he wished he could stay for a little longer, but said he would return home that afternoon to spend the weekend in Windsor. "My family are very upset. I'm here without them," he laughed. "The children will kill me if I don't go home later." He also asked the well-wishers if they were waiting to catch a boat. "We're waiting for you," one woman said. "I'm never sure," William responded. The prince also met representatives from local businesses on the harbour front on Smerys, the largest of the Scilly Islands. The harbour is run by the Duchy of Cornwall and is considered the maritime gateway to the islands, a crucial part of the community which relies on the tourism industry. It handles passengers in vessels traveling to the Isles of Scilly, from tripper boats and sail trading vessels to fishing boats and those carrying special cargo deliveries. The prince later visited St. Mary's Community Hospital to meet staff and hear about a new integrated health and social care facility which is set to be built on adjacent land owned by the Duchy of Cornwall. After being given a spade, the prince broke ground to mark the first step towards the new facility, which will offer integrated health services to the local community. He then spent time chatting to healthcare workers at the community hospital. Meanwhile, on another continent, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle began their 72-hour tour of Nigeria today, as the Duke evoked memories of his suffering after his mother, Princess Diana's death. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex met officials and children at the Woos Lightway Academy this morning, hours after their arrival in Abuja in the early hours. Harry spoke to a group of pupils at the school, which is supported by the couple's Archewell Foundation, about mental health and reference when someone has lost a loved one in your family and you don't know who to turn to or who to speak to. The Duke, who was 12, and his brother William, 15, when Diana died in Paris in 1997, added that there was no shame to be able to acknowledge that today is a bad day. He also told the children, "You can have it, she, Meghan, can have it, I can have it, they can have it. Every single one of us is likely to have it on any given day." The couple flew in together just before 5 a.m. following a secret reunion at London Heathrow's VIP Windsor suite yesterday, after the Duchess arrived from Los Angeles. They both boarded the British Airways overnight flight to Abuja, which was slightly delayed after the scheduled pilot went sick and a replacement had to be scrambled. The Sussexes, visiting Nigeria together for the first time, were seated in the first-class section of the Boeing 777 and were kept apart from other passengers by a curtain. It comes after Harry said it was great to be back in the UK this week to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games. The Duke had been in London since Tuesday to attend events relating to the competition, including a Thanksgiving service.